Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertsen. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Rhee. And in between us, we have probably one of the most special guests we've ever had. No offense to anyone that's ever been on as a guest of the Herd Fit Podcast. We are joined by Joe Linton, the director of the Legends Masters Championship. Still trying to figure out what the game season will be calling the Masters Games, but we're going to say he's now in charge of the CrossFit Games for the Masters community starting next year. Joe, thanks so much for joining us today. He flew across the country just to meet with us, so really, really humbled by that and glad that you took the time out of your week to come join us. How you doing, man?
Doing great. A little tired.
What time did you get in?
To the hotel midnight. But I'm used to this. I can operate like this for a couple of days, and once I get home, I'll take some good naps and get caught back up and everything. But thanks for having us out. We talked about this, Bob and I, before, of kind of coming out and showing the love back to you guys, because I think it's 3 years in a row for Legends that you guys have had the most signups in our online qualifier, which that level of support needs to be, congratulated or awarded or a thank you rather than just, a text or an email. So thank you guys for all your support of Legends, because it's communities like yourselves that has gotten us to where we are today. Well, with the opportunity of what we're going to have next year.
Yeah. Also, just a really great character move by you too, because by no means did we expect. We've always wanted to have Joe and or Bob on the podcast, and it was always going to be via Zoom. We're going to put you on a TV screen and talk to you, those are always tough. We've actually never done it. But my co-owner last night, Cristofaro, who you'll meet tonight, he texted me last night. He goes like, there's got to be another reason why he's coming out here. Like, why would he be coming out here just for us? I'm like, dude, this is a high character move that we have a new leader in the CrossFit Masters space. And I think one of your roles, responsibilities that you're going to have is really trying to get involved and intertwine the Masters competing with the Masters community as an affiliate perspective. And that's a huge part of what you're actually doing right now. And I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. It's something that I'm not used to, obviously, but it's something that's needed. And it spawned from the podcast you guys did when you're talking about the Masters changes and community and all that, and just your perspectives, your thought process on it. I was like, this makes sense. And I think that this would be a very valuable podcast for everyone to watch and see and, spark more conversations from it. So this is by all means fun for me as well.
Awesome, man.
So it was an easy decision to come out here.
So in true CrossFit form, CrossFit Bison today is doing a workout programmed by this guy. So this workout that everyone's doing this morning, let's just break the ice by talking. I want you to, Joe, Sam, you can agree with this, right? Or validate this statement. I'm very picky with programming. Very, right? I have very high standard for people that program workouts. I don't think it's hard to program a good workout, but I think it's really hard to program a great workout, and it's even harder to program a series of workouts, whether it's in a test fashion like the Legends or just on a week-to-week basis for a gym. And Joe sent me a workout he programmed for today's Bison WOD, which I had no hesitation in saying I really do trust that he could put together a good workout. Joe, I'm going to give the workout, and I want you to just give your feedback / reasoning behind the workout. I'll explain it first, and then just to get the people on this same wavelength as you in terms of what you put into programming, your why, and why this is actually a good reason why I do think you should be in charge.
And this could be a games workout next year. You never know.
This could be a game.
Maybe even the pros do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's go. So here's the workout. It's an alternating EMOM for 20 minutes. All right, there's 4 stations. So you're going to run through this 5 times. Station 1, 20 chest to bar pull-ups. Station 2, 15 deadlifts, 155 for the guys, 105 for the ladies. Station 3, machine of choice cows. We have most of our gym doing row cows. Let's just call it row for today. Minute number 4, you get to rest. Your score is how many cows you get over the course of the entire workout. However, if you do not beat your previous set of cows, your next time on that rower, you have to take a 15-second penalty. Joe, that's the workout. Give me your why behind it.
So, why it opens up with chest to bar. this is kind of a training workout as well, right? It's a chest to bar at that level, high-end gymnastics. You want to go unbroken for all 20. So you need to be efficient. Round one, even if you can do butterfly or kipping, you can kind of muscle through it. But round 3, 4, and 5 are going to get difficult if you're not an efficient gymnast on the pull-up bar. So paying attention to your movement and kind of showing yourself what you can or can't do is great for training and getting better in CrossFit. The deadlifts at 155, 105, easily unbroken for most people. But that's what I want to go for. Like I want to, tax the grip, and I want it to kind of, blow up the legs a little bit rather than, it's kind of a bait move. It's a weight and a rep scheme that everyone's going to look at and be like, I'm going unbroken. So it gives you 30 seconds-ish before that max cal row.
Mm-hmm.
That also gives you a little time to kind of get amped up and go off game plan, I think. It's kind of enough time to think, I feel pretty good. I think I got this. And so the max cal row, we've done this workout in multiple different versions at my gym when I owned an affiliate, but I never had a penalty. But in trying to explain as a coach on, about pacing and about getting faster or negative splits, it would never happen. It would rarely happen.
Yeah.
They would just go for it.
Go ham. Okay. Just go ham. Cross it.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, what if we penalized you a little bit? And so 15-second penalty, because if you don't increase, then you get less time to get those scores. And like I was telling you, before this, I would always try to get in those younger athletes' heads, especially the younger male, and try to get them off guard and challenge them to just go for it and see if you can beat me in 45 seconds when I'm trying to be smart. So they would always get 25 cals the first minute, something insane. But then they only had 25 seconds. Then they'd get 18, 16. And then by round 5, they're toast. And so it's kind of something to help teach athletes that, you can be smart. You can get 16, 17, 18, and you can get faster and better. But then if you look at it as a whole workout, but your chest to bar is staying the same,
Yeah.
As you get more tired, you didn't use up, you're being efficient. So you're getting better, and which is also safer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cleaner, more controlled movement's going to be lower that risk of injury. So the workout mainly is to show people how to pace, but also to kind of expose weaknesses and efficiency on a gymnastics movement.
So much pulling. Why so much interference with just 3 pull moves like that?
I like that because, again, it goes back to how efficient you can be on the pull-up bar when you're, pull.
Mm. Yeah, that it's a great test. We're actually, all 3 of us are going to be doing that workout in a couple hours from now. So, Joe will be eating what he's cooking, and we'll be sure to report his score.
Nice, easy round 1.
Start slower and faster, guys. We say it here all the time, but now you have the director of the Master Sport now saying it as well. So maybe some of us will listen. Hey, let's, I know a lot of people that are tuning in right now, they really want to hear about this process with the 2024 games and what it's going to be like, but I'm going to make them wait. I want to talk about 2023 Legends and maybe even because again, I know you're a multitasker. You wouldn't be good at what you do if you were not a multitasker, and you've proven the ability to do it. And I do think it's a tremendous skill that someone in your and Bob's shoes need to really have and be able to put into motion at all times. You guys are obviously coming out here talking about the 2024 game season. We're 7 weeks away from Legends, 2023 Legends Championship. You have how many athletes competing?
570.
Holy cow.
Do you have 570.
Do you have a number of volunteers off the top of your head? I know it's probably going to change between now and then, but an approximate number of what you expect.
Well, we're going to 120, 130 to 150.
So you're probably looking at 650 to 700 people going to Tempe, Arizona in 7 weeks, which you are in charge of.
Yep.
And you are going to put on another tremendous show, another 4-day competition. Wow. With over a dozen divisions. You have RX, you have scaled, you have teams. And that deserves a lot of attention. You guys have been putting a lot into this. You were texting me last winter about this championship, just trying to get some feedback from a competitor perspective, a gym owner perspective. So you guys, this is a full year operation to plan for this upcoming event. So I really do think 2023 Legends needs to be discussed. You guys picked Tempe, Arizona State University campus. Why there? And what were a couple of the other locations that you guys considered?
So why, Tempe or Phoenix area, really? It's kind of funny. Directly due to equipment sponsor.
Oh, okay.
So if you think about
First
kind of
Phorm.
what we've done in the past and giant lifting.
Oh, giant lifting.
What we've done in the past is we've had Rogue involved, but there's costs associated with that and shipping. And kind of the further away you get away from Ohio, the more expensive it's going to be. In 2021, we had True Grit, local company, and how much they came out and supported us just with everything we needed because we were in their base location,
San Diego,
their home city.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what if I can do that again? So I believe it was Jason Ansley of the Monster Games hooked me up with the guys from Giant Lifting. And I told them, I was like, look, this is my competition size. Here's some media and here's some photos and what we've done in the past. Check out our Instagram, got a big following. They were just they just moved into the Phoenix area, I want to say less than 2 years ago. They're based out of Seattle, so they're trying to branch out. I was like, look, we'll make you the equipment sponsor of this competition and do anything that you need if you can provide the equipment and, set up, break down, all that stuff. And they were like, done. So for me, on a logistical standpoint, I got my equipment. They got great stuff. I checked it out. They're going to be there to set up, break down, full support, full booth. And that means that it saves a lot of cost on the competition side, right?
Yeah.
So, and to have that support too, because to find the volunteers and the manpower to unbox everything, do X, Y, and Z, it's a lot. And so this was a big stress off the plate. This is a big bucket that we, checked off right away.
The first time I met Joe and Bob was at the 2020 Legends Championship in Goodyear, Arizona. And I just wanted to go introduce myself. I actually knew someone that went to college with Bob and someone like Deb Rourke knew Bob. So I would go introduce, mention my name, right? And then through a couple different conversations, like, oh, we know some of the same people via Villanova. And the first time I met them, they both had like box cutters in their hand and they're undoing the packaging for the competition that was in a parking lot. Yeah. They were like bolting the rig together. Bob was driving a forklift, bringing sandbags back and forth and air runners. These guys remind me so much of an affiliate owner that when you start off, you have to do everything. And at some point, as you get bigger, you get smarter, you have a little bit more resources, you need to start start giving out some of the jobs and roles to take some off your plate, but also to make the process more efficient and the product better. And that's exactly what these guys are. You guys started this competition, I don't want to go too far back, but in a local gym at some point, right?
Yeah, in my affiliate in Carlsbad. So 2017.
Okay.
And it used to be in the summer.
Okay.
It was in the summer. I want to say it was like September or maybe a little bit before that. 17, 36 people. Bob basically begged 36 masters to come out. I mean, I think the furthest that someone came out was LA.
Okay.
And Val Volberil came out, I think, year
okay,
two.
cool.
So that was pretty cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
So, but year two was 54 people, but we had scaled. So I don't think we got that many more RX athletes, but we had 54. Then year three, I don't know whose idea it was, but we said that let's do an online qualifier. Let's make it serious and let's make this a 3-day comp. So we went from 1-day comp, seemingly unsuccessful. And it's kind of crazy thinking about it now that I'm saying it out loud. And then we're like, all right, 3-day comp and an online qualifier. But then it made it serious because almost 400 people worldwide signed up. I think there's 8 countries. And 120 people came out to my gym.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
I think 140, was our max. But then 120 showed up, 126. But 3-day comp. And even then, we were, first in, last out. We slept at the gym both nights. We were sorting gear up until 3 a.m.
Wow.
I think Born Primitive was our gear sponsor that year.
Okay.
But that was a big deal for us too, because we're like, we need to provide an experience that the games does for the younger athletes. So that's why we have 40 in the beginning, in the lower age groups. So then going into 2020, we actually had the Del Mar Fairgrounds booked.
I remember that.
That was, we were so pumped for that.
That's one of the most famous West Coast venues, by the way. That's where the California regionals were. Like, if you look at some like the Josh Bridges regionals videos, it's at that facility. It's like a really cool place.
I remember watching those videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful venue. I heard a rumor that it was the only profitable regional.
Okay.
Was Del Mar.
That makes sense.
I mean, day one, there was like some stat out that day one, it sold more tickets than all combined days at like the Salt Lake Regional. It's a very popular, it feels like a little mini games.
Okay.
Like, it truly does. It feels like a mini games. It's packed stands. The vendor village is popping, you know, everyone's spending money, having fun. It's sunny, you know, it's California. So in the summer, which is nice. Yeah.
Have you ever made money on the Legends games?
No.
No. Never.
No.
Have you taken a big bath every year?
You know, we, you know, we know that there's something there. And finally, you know, it's like, you know, we're starting to see like, all right, it's working, but, no, you know, we've both been, you know, investing a lot of personal money. Bob obviously more so, but I think maybe percentage wise, like how much money he makes. I think it might be the same. I don't know. I'm not a numbers guy.
Each proportionally giving what you can.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, man. It was something that we know that not a lot, like you said, an affiliate owner, and like I feel like not a lot of people can do what we do.
You're right. Absolutely right.
Or want to do it.
That's
so, you know, and so it's like, it's almost, I don't know what, I was reading some book. I don't know why I'm stealing this from something, but it's more than passion. It's a purpose.
Okay.
You know, so if we can do it, you know, then we need to do it. Otherwise, you know, it won't get done. Or it won't get done the way we want it to.
I'll say this from a Masters athlete, and I'll say this as from a person that coaches Masters. We need you guys. Like, I genuinely do feel that. When you say that it's your purpose, without you guys, I don't know where the sport would be. And you guys are now, I don't think it's a coincidence, but the timing of this really goes well because like CrossFit really started to boom 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14 as the game started getting broadcast on ESPN. I'm talking about CrossFit in general, but also the sport. That's 10 years ago. If your average athlete is 25, 26, 27 years old back then, what are they now? 35, 36, 37. Coming from an athlete that I will readily admit, I can't hang with guys that are 20 through 25 anymore on every level. But I still have that competitive fix. And I know there's a lot of people like me, that guys and girls, people older than me. I even have athletes in this gym right now that are 33 that can't wait till they turn 35 for this reason alone.
Yeah.
So I think there's more people out there than you might even realize, and that truly need you guys, you and Bob and your staff, because there's a lot of you guys that put a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
And we're thankful for that you guys really do view this as a purpose. Most people would have thrown in the towel already, whether it's finances, stress, the combination of the two, time. And I'm really glad that you guys stuck it out. And that's why, like, I sent you the text after I heard you guys had the games saying that you guys truly deserve it. You know, it's not just because you're in the right place, right time. Like, you put in the time and you still are putting in the time. I
assume you think you can make money someday on this.
Yeah, for sure.
I
hope so. Otherwise, the wife's going to step in and, you know, even though, but she's a huge supporter. My wife, Sarah, she even says like, you know, this is what you were supposed to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. Sounds good. So I can keep doing it. She's like, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we did a parking lot in 2020.
Yeah.
We did San Diego in 21. We did Nashville at CrossFit Mayhem in 2022.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Can you give just like a really short, comparison of, you're biased towards West Coast, which, you know, we always kind of, as East Coasters over here, we always kind of get bitter about that. But that is really where CrossFit started. And it does seem to be where a big competition does make money. And, you know, that location out in California was the only regional that was making money, or, you know, the most money out of all the regional out there. Why go back out west? What were some of the logistical advantages and disadvantages to be in Nashville in a gym and now going out to Tempe? I know the equipment sponsor is part of it, but are there any other reasons why you kind of want to stay on the West Coast?
Well, a big reason is like, honestly, travel for us. I have 2 young kids, 6 and 4. So getting out to Nashville, it would take a day and a half minimum. And that would just to meet for the day, you know, just because of the travel time. when I did my site visit at ASU, I took off at 8:30 and I was landing at 3.
Nice.
So it's like, it's an easy thing for me. And so to kind of, figure out how to refine this competition into being, profitable so that we can keep doing this, it's kind of have to be, I guess, on our schedules or close to us so that we can easily control everything without having to spend more money on travel, to get out and back was only like $180 for me. So it's like fast, it's easy. It is, it's a nice place to be in December. It's nice and warm. It's an international airport. The venue is only a 10-minute, $19 Uber ride away from the airport.
That's
so,
awesome. Yeah.
Mayhem was amazing, but Cookeville being a significant distance away from a international airport was a challenge for a lot of people. A lot of different options on hotels, Airbnbs, and you can have an easy 1-hour flight to San Diego or LA or the West Coast. It's kind of a spot that you can go have a little vacation afterwards somewhere. So it's more than just the equipment sponsor. First Phorm is our title sponsor, but we can get gear shipped anywhere for the same price. But when you're shipping big, heavy stuff, it becomes something you need to take into account.
How big was the push that Mayhem gave you guys? It really seemed to be another step up every year, and that was a huge step because you had Rich Froning behind you guys. You had Mayhem's. You had all of the broadcast, which was so amazing last year. I remember when Dave competed in Arizona, we just waited every day to hear, like, oh, how'd you do? We couldn't see or watch anything. And then, given the Masters broadcast this past year at the games, watching what you guys did last year at Mayhem, I was like, you guys have a lot of experience working the professional side of things now with different locations, different sponsors, different athletes, different media sort of push. So what was the biggest takeaway that you got from Mayhem last year that you're taking in this year in terms of your location, your sponsor, your broadcasting, your all of the logistics type stuff?
Yeah, Mayhem was, well, every year it's all about athlete experience and making sure that we provide something new every year is important. Even though if it's at the same location, which it hasn't been since the gym days, but it's making sure that every single year you want David and, people like him to come back. If it's the same thing every year, it kind of gets boring. But, we need to mix it up. We need to learn how to work with other organizations like Mayhem. That wasn't easy. Normally it's just Bob and I share a text and a decision's made. So in working with other organizations is an important thing because otherwise you're just going to be by yourself the whole time.
You guys even had to do some programming, I don't say compromises, but sort of interactions with Mayhem, with Rich Froning.
Yeah,
in terms
which
of...
was great, by the way.
Yeah.
Bob and I did first crack. So we did, at least 5 revisions back and forth. Then we sent it to Mayhem, which was exciting because then they sent back feedback on top of that. Okay. So after Bob and I already did 5 revisions, they sent back 1. We sent back another. I think total was 12.
Wow.
Last year. Like 12 revisions. And then we finalized it 2 weeks before on like our last site visit. Jake, Bob and I, and my buddy Mark, who did the lighting, he does the balloon lighting. We put everything on the whiteboard and start moving, made some big changes.
Oh, wow.
And like
So
just
two
the
weeks
thought
prior?
process. Yeah.
Wow.
And a couple big changes that made the workouts even way better. And it takes time just to kind of get to that point. That's why we love the programming side so much, is because it's so fun. It's so fun to see, how can we push people? How can we trick people? How can we, make something so simple but yet so difficult in a workout? So having those guys' expertise in programming as well, we learned a lot.
It's going to be interesting next year when your partners in programming are going to be Bosman and Castro. But that's great that you've had experience working with people on programming. That's very cool.
And we're not we never say like, oh, we have to do the programming. We just like to share how much we love it, and hopefully, and everyone's, let us participate heavily. And it's looking like, hopefully that's how it is next year as well, because that's going to be a lot of fun.
2023 Legends. Fully programmed yet?
No,
Oh, really?
no,
7 weeks?
no. There's a couple. It's close. It's close. The teams. Well, what's really cool. The swim workout is not programmed yet.
So there's a swim. There's definitely going to be a swim.
Yeah, you guys are swimming.
Okay.
Day one.
That's okay.
And I'm working with the swim coach,
Oh wow.
who obviously knows a lot more about that than me
Okay.
or Bob put together.
All right, everyone, let's
And-
find this guy's email.
Yeah. And he also runs like the master swim or whatever swimming group is at that complex, and so he knows about capacity of age groups of beginner to excellent swimmers. So
Interesting.
when I was doing my site visit, we had a question about the pool, and I go, let's go talk to this guy, and I thought he like ran the grounds, and he's like, oh, I'm the swim coach. I'm like, oh, I need to talk to you because I've never programmed a swim workout for a competition. And so can I get your feedback and this and that? And he's like, absolutely. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, that's a conversation we're going to have next week.
What is your philosophy? Why include swim?
We've wanted to for a long time. It's something that people are been asking for. It's something that, is an experience we haven't done at Legends. So it's an easy thing to go to. It's right there. We don't have to travel anywhere. It's literally part of the complex.
I've had athletes send me the Google overhead shot to let us know that we're swimming in the pool.
It's right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super close.
Is it outdoor, the pool itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's heated.
Now,
It's
do
nice.
you think that without a swim test, you can't figure out who the best athlete is?
Yes, I don't think you need a swim test.
Okay. But
I
you
don't.
think that a swim test makes it more complete in some way?
I think it makes it different. I think that if you program a swim workout properly, then it doesn't have to be about the swim. It doesn't have to be about if you're a good swimmer or not. I think if you do it properly, that you can get some people that maybe just work harder, and they can still be moderately competitive.
Okay.
What about the safety issues associated with swim with like a 55-year-old dude who doesn't know how to swim, like die in the pool or something?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have plenty of staff, professional staff, lifeguards. And again, I think it goes down into the programming, how it's set up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you ever been close to programming a swim at previous championships?
No, it was never an option because logistics cost to, we would say like we would bus everyone or we would make it as easy as possible.
Right.
It was just never an option.
You trolled us a couple years ago in San Diego. You used to take pictures of the open water swim, and Kathleen Staunton, who's going to be competing this year, she was with me out there, and we were both freaking out on the way out there that we were going to be kayaking and swimming.
Yeah, we sent a paddleboard. Like we made an Instagram post.
Yeah.
And we started getting all these messages and people telling us how they're getting lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just joking. We just, it was just Bob and I having fun. And we're like, dude, we need to tell them they're not paddleboarding right now because they're spending money and time on this. He's like, what? I'm like, look at this. He's like, okay, yeah, we got to tell them. And so that's when we stopped doing stuff like that. So we do like the, the Castro-esque photos, and that's always fun. That's actually Bob. He loves that stuff.
I believe that.
He just sits there and laughs all day.
Can you tell us how many tests there are going to be, how many events, workouts there will be?
Yeah, it's going to be similar to previous years. So we'll have at least 8 tests, probably 10 scores.
Okay.
Minimum right there.
When you guys are programming this, do you reverse engineer this? I've heard Castro talk about this, where you have a general idea, maybe specific in some cases, that you want to test this at the championship. So because of that, you are going to make this show up in the qualifiers in the summer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is accurate.
And you have a couple of athletes that have qualified via a live competition, the Monster Games in Missouri. And was there another one?
There was one in Mexico.
One?
Yeah, that one. One in Mexico.
Okay.
In Saltillo.
Do you have say in those programming and the workouts, or do you trust those guys?
They always send it to me, and I'll give feedback. But most times, I give very minimal feedback because the Masters Mexico, they're 7 years in. Jason Ansley and the Monster Games 7 years in, and he's a competitor as well. He's competed with Legends.
Yep, I've seen him before.
Twice now. So I enjoy just reading their programming and then seeing how it shakes out.
Okay.
I rarely send back more than maybe a couple suggestions, and typically it ends up being something really cool because it's some twist that we put on another workout a couple years prior. So because you can like take a certain twist, like even the workout in class today, right? You can take a certain twist and put it into multiple different workouts, and it changes it completely. So
you have as much as 40 athletes in a single division. That is up, I believe, from last year, correct?
No, same. Oh, no, sorry. Last year at Mayhem,
30?
yes.
Okay.
32.
Okay. In San Diego, did we have up to around there? Okay. Yeah. Why so many? Or is it that the games was not doing enough? When I first started following Masters competing, I want to say there was 30 or 20 athletes, then they bumped it down to 10. By the end of the weekend, there's 2 or 3 injuries. It's just kind of like a bad look. You have 7 people competing on the floor by the end in some of these divisions. Why do you feel that number is really important, 30, 40 athletes per division?
It was directly because we wanted to provide the same games experience that the younger athletes were getting. So that would be 40. And so that's why we started with 40, and it tapers down just based off of overall participation. But it was exactly that, of providing an experience of, we were trying to create a little mini games for each age group. So that's why we have 420 athletes, but that was the direct reason.
And this year, for the first time, you're doing teams.
Yes.
And I don't want to say the first time you're doing scale, because you said you did do a scale division when there was inside of a gym, but in terms of these big locations, big operation, this is the first time you're doing scaled. Can you give just some reasoning behind that? Could you give any information to people that are competing on teams and scaled? What should they expect? What should they not expect? Do you want to go down that path?
Oh, no, that's fine. Scaled should be expecting to be pushed. Like in our online qualifier, we made them do toes to bar. We made them do handstand push-ups. That isn't the exact scale that CrossFit or other competitions use, but I think it's needed. We are a competition. We are going to push you and to get better at any level. So scale should be expecting to, do similar movements that they did in the online qualifier. And scaled's a tough one, by the way. It's because you have such it's a bigger net, right? The scaled community rather than like the RX. The RX, it's like, no, you're going to do this and it's expected to be really hard. Scaled's like, well, wow, okay. There's the people that maybe should be RX and there are people that definitely should be scaled. And so it's kind of, the programming side I'm like, okay, this is actually a little more difficult right now than I thought it was going to be. And the teams, they should expect to be doing all the same movements as the RX. I do know that, you're going to get a lot of people that maybe didn't qualify as an individual. So it's kind of like you're programming for a certain, 60 to 80th maybe, or 50 to 70th person in a big leaderboard.
Yep.
So, and it's also what are the rules of the workout? What are the rules of the team has to follow so that everyone can participate and still have fun? That was the biggest thing, is a community thing. Scaled and team was like a community builder. Let's get more people involved. A lot of people are going to go anyway to watch their friends. So kind of give them 2 days to go work out and just try something new. We're doing teams of 4, which I don't know if I regret it yet, but I told Bob, it was like kind of one of those things where I overcomplicate stuff. And I'm like, this is pretty cool, but this is pretty complicated. So I'm like, maybe next year we do something different. But the team should be expecting to do all the same movements as RX, but volume and load will be different.
Is your philosophy for teams that you want to test each athlete on the team to do everything reasonably well, or is it more like, if you have like, let's suppose you're a really good athlete, but you have a little bit of a deficiency one way or another, your team can help you sort of still perform?
No, I can't say that your team will be able to help you.
Okay, so you got to be able to do it.
It's kind of, your team's going to be able to help you. And maybe you have a guy that is excellent at this and not so good at something else, but your team will be able to help you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it makes it more fun. It's kind of a true team, right? It's like, it's kind of like other team sports. Just because, one guy can't do something, maybe the rest of the team can do it very well. So, but we'll see.
Let's also be clear that, just so that people know, they might not everyone know this, the team is one male from 35 to 39, one male from 40 to 44. And then same thing with the females. And then there is an older division as well, right? 45 plus male, 50 plus male, 45 plus female. So you can't have two ringers from the Sage A group, same gender, right? There was a couple people here that did start talking about, hey, maybe if we don't qualify, or maybe I don't want to do individual, let's do team. Is there any kind of forecasting? I feel like you're always like a forward-thinking guy. Like you're focused on 2023, but there's still because you're a multitasker and you're talented at it, you can think about 2024. Is there a possibility that just like the open division games, there are individuals and teams? Could you ever see a situation where there's masters individuals at the games, but also master teams at the games? Is that part of the thought process here? Or no, that's just for the 2023 championship?
So we will be continuing our December championship.
Yeah.
We did announce that, I think, on last Tuesday.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to continue with teams. At the games level, there's definitely, I think it's a possibility.
Okay.
It's hard to say that it's not, especially since, back in 2017, 2018, everyone told Bob and I that we'll never be able to make a Masters competition big. So there's definitely a possibility of I think it can be done. That's for sure. Now, logistically, how do they qualify? Where do they go? Is it at the Masters games or, whatever that's to be called? Or is it a separate thing? Because I think if you're going to do it, you want to do it big, right? You want to have a few hundred to, 400 people competing total, because you're going to have so many different options of age groups. What do the teams look like? Is it partner? Is it teams of four? I think it almost would have to be a separate weekend.
Interesting.
It'd be tough to have, because then you're getting into, you have 800 athletes, and then you're getting into the cost of that and that footprint of the venue. It becomes, I think it becomes its own thing at that point.
Okay. Sam, I have one more question about 2023. Do you have anything else you want to talk about 2023? Then we can dive into the meat topic.
No, let's keep going.
So 2023, this can be a broad question. Where do you draw the line of trying to keep athletes on their toes / trying new things that they're probably not training, but preventing it from going away from the safety component, logistical component, and also highlighting athletes, right? I've seen competitions, I won't mention their names on here, but just where it almost seems like they're trying too hard to catch athletes off guard. And because of that, you're kind of not always testing true fitness / making them all look pretty bad out there, right? I mean, you can even talk about this, how you scale movements within the championship from age 35 to 65. At what point do you take out ring muscle ups? At what point do you take out handstand walks? Knowing that you don't want someone to get hurt, you want a big highlight, but you also are trying to test fitness and the unknowable. How hard is that from your perspective of trying new things without going over the top?
So safety is always a big thing. If you're going to do something new and different, you got to make sure that it's safe, because that's the last thing that you want to happen. You don't want someone to get hurt, and then it's just a bad look for everybody.
Right.
Trying new things, it's something that we always think of. And I think what we've been good at so far is, combining workouts in a new way. I can tell you, I already have one workout for the games next year that I'd never seen before. I've never seen it done before. And I'm and I told Bob, and he's like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be sick.
Is it today's bicep mod?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's better.
That's
and
awesome.
And it's stuff like that to where, and nothing in it is new. They're not new movements.
Okay.
And again, it's one of those ones where you can replace movements and you're still going to get the same effect. So, but try new things, new movements. I think it's cool. I think it's fun to see. We like to, for the Legends Championship, make sure that we give people a heads up if they're going to be in previous years where we use the heavy jump ropes. We like to give people a heads up. Last thing you want to do is have, frustrated people. Everyone's not doing something at our competition. At the games, day programming or regionals in the games, legless rope climbs for women.
Yep.
That was what did we see the next year?
women
most
crushing
of them can do it. The
Yep.
pegboard. What do
Yeah.
you see the next year? And so
It's a good
I
point.
do like seeing that. If we do something like that, I typically, I think Castro does the same way. You know, we won't put it on the last day because if we're going to kind of potentially trip someone up, we want to give them enough time to battle back.
Interesting.
You know, we
That's a
don't
good-
want to like a loss, some weird loss on some weird new movement that, you know, on Sunday, it just kind of will leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I think going back to just core CrossFit, that's one of the biggest compliments we got from last year's programming is how it was just core CrossFit. And
Love that. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, that's what they like. And, you know, I think the Masters community especially likes that more.
Yeah.
A little more simple.
Yep. That's what they grew up on within the
Right,
CrossFit
yeah,
space.
yeah.
That's what they're used to. They feel safer doing it. And yeah, that's always a really cool part. I actually think you guys do a really good job programming qualifiers and the championships because it's creative, it's different. You guys do certain kinds of workouts that I've never seen elsewhere. That's always cool to me because there's so many people programming out there right now. It's almost like you can't be surprised by anything. But every year I'm like, that was different. This workout today, it's different. So that's I think you guys do a really good job of that. Let's dive into what most people want to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
The 2024 games. We don't know what they're being called yet, right? Is that something you guys still need to kind of figure out?
Yeah, that's getting real close though.
Okay, so let's just
November.
okay.
You know, in
cool.
November. And again, like unless it's pen to paper, set in stone, you know, we're not going to say anything that would be irresponsible.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
You know? Like actually, you know, that's a lie. It's this now, or it's
Yeah.
this, and so it's like, what do you believe? And
Right.
and it's funny being on the other side for so long and having like the same feelings about how CrossFit announces things. Now I'm like, oh, now I get it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
it's
NDAs are signed, everything.
yeah, and then you'll be a little patient. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
I think one of the last things CrossFit wants is that morning chalk up announces it before they get to announce it. That I think that bugs the crap out of them. So
Yeah.
you got to be careful.
That
with
can't
stuff.
be. That can't be fun. You know, it's
Has your phone started to blow up from that? I mean, I guess Sam and I are considered media, sorta, right? A podcast, in a back storage closet at our gym. But
yeah,
are you gonna do you forecast that? Like, I remember even when we hosted the open announcement here, I had more morning chalk up people reach out trying to do something that I wasn't allowed to do. They weren't allowed to do, and I don't think there was any ill will there. They just don't know. They don't know really what the real process is with that CrossFit has. Have you started being reached out to for?
Oh yeah. Like today I have
information.
3. This is first of 3. I have the CrossFit Games podcast with Chase after we work out.
Okay.
And then tonight I have Masters Chatter.
Oh, nice.
Which they're cool. They're a fun group to talk to because it's all Masters Games athletes and they've all done Legends and
yeah,
you know, they share their opinions.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah, but it's a good time, and it's funny. My wife's like, "Are you gonna get bored of saying the same stuff?" I'm like, honestly, talking to different people, it seems like a different conversation about the same question, which I like. So absolutely ready for it. I think I did 2 last week.
Yep.
I had
Listen
a
to them
total
both.
of 5 this week.
Wow.
And then I talked to Morning Chalk Up on Friday. They're doing something with I think it's a combined article with all 3 area, you know, adaptive, teenage, and us.
Yes,
so
smart.
And yeah, that was cool though. You know, Tegan, I believe is how you pronounce
she
her
was
name.
here for
She's
the
awesome.
open announcement last year.
Yeah, I think she does good stuff.
Can you? I've heard the story. Some of our listeners have not. The Bob Italy, you late night workout texting with Dave Castro story. How did you guys actually find out / get asked to run the Masters CrossFit Games?
So it's exactly that. Castro texts Bob, "Hey, we need to talk." Bob texts back because he was in Italy, I think going to breakfast at the time, that, "Hey, you know, I'm on a vacation with my family for 2 weeks. Can we link up when I get back?" And Castro said, "No, this needs to happen ASAP." So that kind of, you know,
A little scary.
a little shiver down your spine.
Yeah.
So Bob, you know, throws on his sandals or whatever, you know, he needed to go outside really quick, had a quick conversation with Castro. Castro said, you know, we're looking to split off the Masters from the games. And we want to talk to you guys about the possibility of you guys running that section or that division of it. So he said, all right, cool. I got to talk to Joe. And then we'll set up a meeting for when Bob gets back into town.
How long ago was this?
This was months ago. This was at least 4 months ago.
So like
what is
in
this?
June?
Probably right around there.
Early summer. Okay.
Yeah. So Bob texts me, or he tried to call me, but it goes to voicemail in the middle of the night 'cause it's midnight for me.
Yeah.
He texts me, hey, try to call you. Castro wants us to run the games next year for the Masters.
Wow.
And I was like, what the?
I'm sleeping.
What the?
Am I dreaming?
So I went, I got to go, to do my own man pee in the middle of the night. And I'm like, I'm not going to bed. And I was like so excited that I wanted to tell my wife, but I wanted her to sleep. So I was like, well, I got to go do something. So I went and I did a row for 20 minutes. And I was still just, the whole time. Phenomenal row, by the way. I couldn't even feel the pain.
You probably crushed it.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that was good. So then I was like, all right, well, might as well start working on Legends 2023. I had some stuff to do. And I think partially why we have this opportunity is why we're so prepared for this year already. Because normally there's a lot of stuff that needs to get crossed off. And it's kind of like, we're already done with that. We're already done with this. We're already done with that. And so, so we had a conversation with Castro when Bob got back into town. He kind of gave us the lowdown and his idea on how how much freedom we would have. He confirmed we can expand the field. And he, it was from the get-go, it was very clear that we were going to have a lot of say and we were going to be able to run the competition, how we run our current competition. So that was really exciting.
So even before you guys said yes, he actually sort of laid out a lot of these things for you so that you could say, this sounds like a good deal for us.
For sure. Because we both had our hesitations, because we created Legends to give the athletes an experience that I guess they weren't getting at the games at a bigger field and different location. And,
Was there anything sticky where you're like, I don't know about that?
No.
Really?
It was
everything that you guys wanted.
I'm like, okay.
Really?
And so
Did you have a relationship with Dave Castro prior to that text/call?
Yeah. So Dave, not on text conversation basis, but Dave would stop by our competitions all the time. So I used to run little local gym comps, male, female, individual. We had 4 per year and they were 120 people.
Okay.
But they would basically buy equipment for the gym.
Yep.
So that was my thing. I told all of my members, if you volunteer, we get these rowers.
Got it.
So
smart.
They were great competitions, and Dave would swing by and say hi, and which was really cool. He was living in Carlsbad at the time, so that was where my gym was. So he would always come by, which was really fun. He came by, I think Legends 2019, the last year I was at my gym. He swung by, and that was pretty cool because he kind of saw the operation that we had, which was tight knit, just different in a gym. It was all my equipment. We didn't have any equipment sponsor, and a little chaotic, but
controlled chaos.
Yeah. And then as far as the Legends name in CrossFit, a lot of people gave them a lot of good feedback about us over the years, and we were informed of that, which was really cool.
That's great.
But that never really was the goal. The goal was just to continue to make a better competition every year, and so I think that is one of the main reasons why we were selected. And also like you talked about working with Mayhem and moving cities, I think that shows a lot of commitment and planning and effort into collaborating and working with others. And so I think that's another big reason why we were chosen.
Now, when you do business with CrossFit HQ, is it like handshake, we're done? Or is it like, here are 500 papers you have to sign, and then you got to keep your mouth shut for 3 months or long? Like you kept your mouth shut for a really long time. And I remember when Dave and Bison hosted the 23.2, we had to, I couldn't keep, it was really hard for me to keep my mouth shut as a coach for even a month about it. And so how hard was that? The shaking, the signing of the deal, and then having to not say anything for a while on that.
So yeah, the initial conversations, it was all about, what we're going to do, how much freedom we can choose the location, this and that. And it was really exciting. And then you get into the nitty gritty of the contract or how it's going to look, and you start to talk to different, more people because that is their field. We start to talk to the finance guy and then this person. And so once you finally get to the point where you sign, then it's like, okay, now you'd be quiet until further developments. So it was difficult.
How many people knew? Just you, Bob?
Me, Bob, my wife did know, my dog.
Did they have to sign NDAs too?
No. Oh man, I told my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I told my mom. But my mom, like, she's like, oh, CrossFit, that's cool. I was like, hey, mom, like, Dave Castro reached out. He wants me to run the game. She's like, that's cool. So do the kids need socks or underwear? I'm like, yeah. And that's exactly. She's like,
You wanted to sell.
I don't know. She's like, I don't know what you said, son, but she's like, good job. I'm like,
that's it. That's all. That's all you told.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty tough.
I'm really good at keeping secrets. Yeah, sometimes I forget though. This one I didn't, but like when people confide in me, I'm like, cool. I'm gonna try to forget this because I don't want to screw this up. I messed up like 2 surprise birthday parties in my 20s, and it was scarring, I think. So I'm like, I'm not saying it.
Less is more. Less is more.
Exactly.
The relationship between you guys and CrossFit and how you guys are now a partnership. That's something that could really be. Right now it all seems good and easy and smooth, but how much support are you expecting from them? What you're allowed to talk about, what you're not, but financially, but also some of the logistics. Like I know they're giving you a lot of freedom, decision making. But I actually think one of the hardest things about the sport with Masters is the support staff with video review. Once that whole process becomes in the quarterfinals and semifinals, is that on you now?
No, that's going to be another collaborative effort.
Okay.
We take it very serious.
I know you guys
too
do.
serious.
Yeah.
I guess you can't take it too serious, but it's something that it takes us 80 plus hours split in between 4 guys right now, or 5. But it takes a long time to just go through the videos. Now we don't do every video, but we do every video that for everyone that's qualified.
Right.
So we don't get on the whole leaderboard, but once we see that cut line, we'll go, 5 to 8 spots behind it, and possibly further depending on how many first round people are going to accept. So it's something that I feel like CrossFit HQ has gotten immensely better at.
For sure.
So it's something that is.
There's been a lot of outside pressure from a Hiller, a Savant, right?
Right.
Like they do, in my opinion, I do think, without knowing those guys personally, they are doing it for the betterment of the sport. They want to improve what's going on. They want to make sure no one's slipping through the cracks, or based on reputation, they don't get a no rep on a video, right? And I do agree with them. But are you ready for that? That there's going to be maybe some eyes on you guys now of, hey, you got to make sure that videos and standards are upheld even for some of the most famous athletes.
Oh, not at all. Yeah, I'll no rep anyone.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You need to act like that if you want to be taken seriously. You can't give shortcuts or anything like that. So I'm excited for it because
awesome.
I think we can become even more strict, about how the video should look. Because currently there's a few people that, because I've done it so much, I can tell the rep was complete. But, where like I couldn't even, the glare was there or this. I'm like, well, if you look at it this way, then it's that you can see the rep is complete. But I think we can become even more strict. The support, the level of setup for the scorecards, the requirements, all that is going to be at the games level.
Got it.
So I think everyone's going to take it more serious all around. And I'm excited for that phase because even though it's not an exciting time to watch the same workout over and over and over, but it's it's important. People are working very hard and this is a dream for them, so we need to take it as serious as they do. So I'm excited for it because it's going to clean up the process on our end too. People will take it more serious.
So
absolutely.
Take me a little bit through the selection process next year. Let's suppose I'm a Masters athlete and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go to the games for 2024. I'm going to have to prep the same way now for the Open like I've have in years past, right? And that's going to be programmed by CrossFit HQ and Dave Castro and his group and Bosman, right? And then I'm going to have to try to make it to quarterfinals the same way. And those workouts are going to be programmed again by Dave Castro and Bosman. Now, do you guys have foreknowledge, pre-knowledge? Are you guys going to have any input on the Masters side? Because the Masters workouts can be different in the Open. The quarterfinals are definitely going to be different, right? Because they always have been. The AGOQ, if you wanted to call it back in the past, or now the age group quarterfinals. What role do you guys have for that next year?
So we've expressed that we want to collaborate with semifinals and the games.
So semis to games, not
That's where
quarterfinals.
we've expressed what we want, and it's looking like that's a possibility. So
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna find out soon. So
Okay.
at that point, just because if we are running the games, it's kind of like what we currently do. There's an expectation of what people can do if you're also programming them for the games. So we do want some say, and again, they've been very supportive and hear us out all the time. So hopefully that's the direction it goes.
So CrossFit still has to handle the age group quarterfinals, or that's the plan right now?
That's the plan, yeah.
Okay, and then once you get to the semis, and last year they took how many in the semis per age group?
30.
30.
They take 30 from quarterfinals and then 10 from semifinals.
Okay, so they're gonna have to up that number, right?
You would think, yeah.
Right, and then you're gonna potentially get involved on the semifinal level at either in programming or evaluating or both or something like that, right?
For sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna take 40 per age group.
That's the goal. I mean, that's the idea right now. A lot of it comes down to, we're on a search for venue. And how many people you can get depends on what type of venue do you have, how big is that, how long do you have it for. You kind of reverse engineer that as well based off how many heats and how many workouts. So that's the goal. It will increase significantly from the current games roster of 10. Castro said at least double. So
and then I can imagine I'm planning. Got to go West Coast if I'm, for the, got to plan my trip for the West Coast for the games probably.
Probably. Now, most of our efforts are looking into California, but we're not only looking in California. It's got to make sense overall for the competition. And, we'll see how it goes. We have framework events, Danny and his team, they're in charge of that. They're professionals at it. That's what they do. So they're out there searching for a host location for us right now. We're shooting them a bunch of ideas. I'm getting a bunch of ideas given emailed and messaged to us, and I share those right along to the team. Virginia Beach was thrown out there, someplace in Florida. So we're definitely sharing all those, and it's not crossed off the list by any means.
And if the individual and teams are going traditionally in August, then I'm going to my games experience about a month after, or you said shortly after.
Within a month.
Yeah. We want to be close to the younger, the pros. We want to be close to them just so that we don't, and also you don't have the Masters athlete training, year round.
And the semis would be around the same time as the individual semis?
I think it would have to be. I don't see why that schedule needs to change. They already have that down. They already have that system down. It's not set in stone, but I don't see why they would change that schedule. I don't think it would make any sense to. Might as well just keep it the same since
you would have to think it
rolls that way.
Before school season almost has to be, right? I mean, it would be really tough for a Masters athlete to go anywhere once school's in session for people that have kids. Or at what point do you draw the line of like, hey, that if you're going to take this serious, you're going to have to make a couple of these schedule type sacrifices. I mean, if you are within a month of the pros games, you will probably be before Labor Day, which is usually the starting point for a lot of schools. I know some people out west, I don't know where you guys are, some do start in August. Do you ever have to consider some lifestyle situations for the Masters athlete in terms of trying to get it done in X time? And part two of that question is the support staff that is required physically at the games. If you're going to have judges at the games, are you going to have those same judges at the Masters 2 weeks later, a week later, 3 weeks later? Is it going to actually bite into the availability of those people?
So we every year we always take into account account the schedule
Mm-hmm.
as far as work-life balance, what they got going on. That's the main reason why we do a blind leaderboard, and we just give all 6 for our online qualifier, all 6 workouts at once.
Love that
So
concept.
get it done whenever you can. And we don't eat up, 3 weeks of your summer with your family and kids. So then going into, planning even how long the games is or how long our event is and when it is, December was always a good time because it was, a nice little end of year stamp for most masters athletes is figure out where they're at. And it almost, a lot of people told us that they would go through the holidays less stressed about their fitness because they kind of like ramped up and then they kind of now can take a few weeks back, enjoy the holidays, and then, still work out, but take some time off because they just did a big competition. So that's why we like that December event timeframe so much. But with the games, we want it to flow as a season. And we want to get close to where they're at so that the people that are going for the games, they can, wrap up their season and take some time off and, hopefully come to the December event that we'll have next year with Legends as well. So support staff, CrossFit is going to be also operationally supporting each one of these events.
That's huge.
They've already said that they're going to teach us how they teach their judges and floor crew, which is so important. You want it to look good. You want them all to be, moving the same, but then you also want very clean judging across the board. The way that we train our judges, we give them a lot of information prior, but most of it's like the night before or the morning up. And we select judges that are, highly experienced, and we put certain people in charge of other people. And there's a lot of eyes on, especially the beginning heats, to clear up any, questions or, questionable reps given out by judges. So having their support on that side is going to be huge. And I think you're going to see a lot of people do both. A lot of these judges, they're hardcore. They support it immensely. They travel and spend their own money to travel around the country to not just the games, but like Wadapalooza, all these different events, and they love it, and they all know each other. It's like this whole other community that I didn't know existed until like 2021. I was like, oh, okay, like you guys all do this. This is cool, and so. I think it's important. So we're trying to take care of them this year, especially as much as possible, because we want them to come, come to both of our events next year, especially the games.
Now, the format of the Masters Games is going to be similar to or as close to the current Masters Games, event schedule, number of days, or is it closer to like, say, what you guys have set up for Legends at this point? Number of days, number of events.
We're looking at 3 and 4 days.
3 and either 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days. And 3 would be a minimum. We would like 4 because I want to get a good thorough test. For that many athletes in 3 days, that would be difficult.
I see. And then at least 8, maybe 10 events, 12 events,
possibly
14 events. How many events are you planning?
Like, minimum, it's going to be 8 events. That would be our minimums, right? Because I think that's what, if you have 4 days, you got to take advantage of that time.
And then do you start adding the sort of CrossFit Games type events like bike, long distance running,
some sort of obstacle course?
Yeah, like all the crazy sort of non-traditional.
And I'm going to ask, right? I'm going to ask all these equipment sponsors and this and that to help me set this up or help me create this, because I think that that would be something, again, that the masters have not experienced. And that is a big thing. Like I've been asking, I asked a lot of games athletes over the past year, even before, Castro and team reached out. I asked them, what was one games workout that wasn't programmed for you? Because I want to replicate that.
Last year or just in the years past?
Any year, like like Justin LaSala, Jen Dieter, these people that have been to the games 6, 7, 8 times. I'm like, what was one event that you really wanted to do that wasn't programmed for you? And, they all gave me different answers. And that's cool. The goal. It's like, cool. Like then we could easily replicate that, depending on, I I don't think we're going to set up an obstacle course in December, but you know, that's the goal, is like even experiencing a workout at the games that you saw the pros do that the Masters didn't. I think that would be really cool to see. And that's something that, again, goes into athlete experience and giving them something that they haven't gone through yet.
Is it possible, do you think, for someone like a Sam Dancer to compete in the individual or maybe team, and then also in the Masters?
Absolutely. That guy's a beast.
He is,
I mean, with the timing and everything as well. Like,
I think so. Yeah.
And then they'd have to complete 2 semifinals, like both the individual plus the Masters semifinals.
Yeah. Did you read like one of his latest Instagram posts where he just like, he kind of went through like a bunch of little short life experiences?
Yeah. I read that.
He can definitely do it.
He's the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%.
You know,
generally speaking, though, do you think there's a lot of athletes? Do you think they're going to have to pick one or the other?
Yeah. Are you going to try to facilitate that if there are these unicorns that can do that sort of thing?
That'd be tough. Yeah, if they want to, they'll do it. But as far as, you know,
scheduling, timing,
as far as, you know, scheduling something around, you know, the 1%, we probably wouldn't do that. You know, we would just ask you to choose and, you know, make your best choice that you want. And, you know, because there's a lot of other people that aren't in that boat, and we should probably be paying attention to them more.
That brings up the finances a little bit with sponsorships and a broadcast. You know, we actually talked on this podcast a few weeks ago about how expensive a broadcast can be and what you guys invested in that for the sake of us, the Masters athletes. You know, and then I even want to bring up payouts for a winner of the CrossFit Games, right? In my opinion, and I could be wrong, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, if you are really pursuing the highest level of Masters sport, it's more out of passion than trying to pay your bills. You know, very few Masters athletes are pro athletes to the point where that's their income. That's how they pay their bills. Does that change now? Does the payout change? Does your budget change? Will there be a broadcast? You know, because I know a lot of that comes down to the money. You know,
yeah, money's huge. I mean, your broadcasts are crazy expensive, and it's weird because there's no like in between. So it's like you pay $20-30K for a still cam that everyone hates, or you pay $200,000. You know, there's like nothing in between
for the top of the line.
For the top, because you know, when you get to that level, you the staff and the requirement of what these guys need to do this. It's like there's nothing in between. So it'd be nice if there was something in between. I think you would see so many more broadcasts on competitions that aren't, you know, super high end. Like you can, you know, I think you would see so many more broadcasts like at MFC,
right?
You know, if there was something in between, we could all afford it. You know, we being kind of like the Legends MFC, you know, level.
What do you think about your broadcast quality last year for Legends, and what would your goals be for next year's?
It was cool. So
wait, what are you guys doing for this year actually for your broadcast even?
So we're not doing anything like last year before. We're tapped out.
Okay. Because that was a lot of money to have Sean Woodland and the whole who else announced? It was like everyone was there. The big
I think
big
Tommy
guns.
was on there. Rich was on there as well. I mean, year before we had Sean Woodland, Ani Sakamoto, Bill Grunler.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Right.
Yeah, but we're tapped out. So this year we have an idea of what we could possibly do, but you know, I would expect something, you know, kind of like what MFC had to do. It's almost you get to a point where you just can't afford it anymore.
People are going to be scared because they're going to look at this year's Legends broadcast and be like, wait, these guys are the guys running the games next year?
Yeah.
In some cases, it's probably better to not have a live broadcast.
There'll be that.
Yeah.
But I think that, like my wife brought this up, and you know, there's going to be people scared about everything, and there's going to be, and it's like we just got to go through running this for 1 year and show everyone like what we can do. I mean, we ran, like you talk about 2020, we ran a competition during the pandemic. We figured it out. It rained day one and just ruined everything.
It did.
But we figured it out. And I think like it's those opportunities that is another reason why we were chosen, because it shows the Masters community like yourself, like you've been every year.
Yep.
That how committed we are.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people would have thrown in the towel. And so I think that even potentially if we don't do a broadcast this year, there'll be some people that are upset, and I'm sorry for that. But I can tell you that with the support that CrossFit's going to be giving us next year, financially and operationally, and how the way this is going to go, everyone's going to be very happy.
Yeah.
You know, the whole division split too, like everyone's upset on feeling cast out, feeling, you know, pushed aside. For the growth of the sport, this is amazing. You have so many more people involved, and the potential it opens up for each of these competitions to provide a more unique, special experience with its own focus. Everyone is going to start to realize how much better it is.
And it's more realistic for more people to make it. You know, like sometimes you know, to be top 10 after semifinals, it's almost like it's like a pipe dream, especially as you start seeing names like Scott Panchik, Sam Dancer, Dan Bailey, you know, Elijah Muhammad, all these guys starting to come into Masters. Soon it's going to be Vellner. It's like, dude, you have no shot of getting to this level, but now it's 40. It opens the door for so many more people. It multiplies and compounds per age group.
Where currently they would not go back to the games. You know, a lot of the guys didn't
want
to go back and compete as a master. And I think maybe that's because of how they were, you know, almost treated at the games, or it was only 10 and it wasn't a big deal. But I think that by opening this up to a different competition to run it or help run it, increasing the field and getting those guys back involved, I think you're going to see a lot more of the aging games athlete that we saw 10 years ago competing as a masters now.
Do you think that now, because of that, you have a shot at being a professional masters game athlete? Like the only, you know, because you have the Sam Briggs and these others who are now huge individual superstars coming into the sport. I know that the only one that I know for sure who's making money as a professional is Jason Grubb, probably, I would say. And he had to work.
That's even a probably, right?
Yeah.
You know,
and
if he didn't have his own, you know, programming or whatever, you know, is he able to fund this? And
is that a goal for you, is to try to make the ability to be a professional Masters Games athlete possible? But you would only have, but to do so, you'd have to have increased media exposure, more publicity, more eyeballs. I will say that it can happen, because last year when we were watching the Legends broadcast, it's like the Olympics. You may not know the sport very well or the people involved, but you get to know the stories a little bit, and then you get sucked into it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's whatever the sport is. Like, I know because I watched my wife watch, and she's not a huge pro CrossFitter spectator, but when she got into some of the stories of some of like the competition and how close they were on the last day, she started watching because it was interesting to her to see whether Jason Grubb would be able to, you know, I forget who the other competitor was. But you know,
Vlad?
Yeah, just eke it out, and you could see that at the end. Do you feel like you could do that with the Masters Games?
Absolutely. With expanding the field, again, it gives us opportunity to have a shot at doing that, because I think currently it would never happen. If it's only 10, it's not considered, let me see here, serious by the athlete, yes, but by sponsors, not. There's not enough competition. So it's like, create something bigger, create something that has an opportunity to be, you know, significant. And I think you'll find sponsors forking up more money to be present, and especially once they realize how much money masters spend on site. That is something that a lot of people don't realize. That so 2021 Viore, they sold out in one day.
I remember hearing that.
They had to go to the local stores and, you know, raid their warehouses. 2022 last year, right? Mayhem. Their store did very well. The coffee shop did very well. So this year, going into our competition December with First Phorm and Tier, you know, we're having them present at athlete check-in. We're going to make it like a party. But like, once we get the data on how much money is spent by the masters, then sponsors are going to want to be there. They're going to spend more money to be there. They're going to bring a bigger team. It's going to create a bigger party. It's going to get more eyeballs. And then we begin to have this snowball effect of what we can provide on a broadcast level. Because if you look at 2021, we covered all 4 days, but the build out of the production wasn't even as close to what we did last year. I mean, last year we had, like, you know, Rhee and, you know, Tony Marquez doing activations with the sponsors, and there was a lot more build out. And we had, you know, the Jason Grubb story and the other stories shared in between. And so last year was more expensive than the year before, and we only covered it for half the time. But it's like what goes into, we want to be able to provide that for 4 days.
Right.
So it's going to take us a couple years to like build this out and get more stories. And in the meantime, taking content like, Jeff here, this type of content, he's been doing some reels with athletes back at his home gym. Like stuff like that is what's going to help build this and get more eyeballs on people training for certain competitions, which doesn't happen currently.
We talked about the numbers and what it would take to make enough money on the broadcast side, and it just didn't seem like it was adding up in the past. Like, how is that going to change, honestly? Like, if I was a cynic, I would say you've told me it's never made money. The numbers that we looked at, like in terms of the viewership, like how many eyeballs sponsors would want for a broadcast, even CrossFit realized, last year, that they just couldn't blow that kind of money on Masters broadcasting. So what makes you think like this is going to happen? Like what signs do you see where you're like, okay, you know what, the potential is there?
I think with it being separate, you're going to have a lot less people that go and watch the pros. Obviously, they're not going to go. They might not go to the Masters games, but I feel like they would tune in.
Yep.
They would watch. And if we continue to do podcasts like this and talk about how important next year it is for everyone to watch or everyone to tune in, or next year, come buy a ticket, come spectate, be there, be present, because unless the community gets behind this, and not just the Masters community, the entire community, then this new era won't be as successful as it should be or as it can be. Don Fall wants how many
20 to 30 million. 20 to 30 million people crossfitting.
20 to 30 million people crossfitting. So by just tuning in, by maybe making the trip out, if you can, if you're close or you just want to make a trip, but it's so important for the entire CrossFit community and their families and their friends to tune in, because that is so important, because then we can start to build something that could be very games-like for each of these divisions. It's not impossible. There's got to be something there. Otherwise, everyone would have scrapped this years ago. There's got to be a way to figure it out. And I think that if, we as a community begin to share how important 2024 is, of now, this is the first official year of like everything that is done for this competition, every dollar spent, every view, every tune in, every like on Instagram, every follow. Now is, that's the level of support for that community, for the Masters, for the teenage, for the adaptive. They're going to be in the same boat. So if we want this to get bigger and bigger and bigger, then we need to help push this together.
It's a lot of responsibility, because as CrossFit HQ, they just farmed it out to you guys. They were like, we can't accept, this is too much responsibility here. And if it's successful, they benefit. If it dies, it was like, well, it was Bob and Joe.
And it's funny.
And that's isn't that scary that you guys are basically holding the future of Masters competition and sport in your hand? Because that's what's going to happen.
I wish you guys can be in these meetings, because it's not like that. They want this to happen. Boz,
they should.
We work with Heather Lawrence. Like, it's insane how much they care. They're like, I forget the guy's name, the chief marketing officer. He's super pumped. Like, everyone is so excited not to farm it out, because they really want this to work. I'm telling you, like, everyone that is putting this much effort into it, there's obviously potential for this to be successful and to be way bigger than everyone can think, or everyone thinks it can be.
One thing that in that answer, great answer, by the way, Joe, is it's on us too, Sam, like you and I.
Oh, yeah.
It's on us as CrossFitters. It's on us as Masters athletes. It's on us as guys that have a podcast that has some traction, right? That I don't want to walk out of this recording, out of dinner tonight, out of the Masters competition in December, and be like, good luck, guys. Like, we're going to continue to ask Joe what we can do to help him.
hopefully not contribute my athletic ability.
Well, there's more to it. And this is where, one of the first things we talked about, I think one of the hardest things to do, but it is vital to the long-term success of CrossFit and the sport, is blending the affiliates with the sport and not always keeping them separate. What can an affiliate do to help out Joe? Joe's put his money, Joe and Bob have put their money literally where their mouth is and shown what they can do to help us. What are we doing back? And I think if we have a lot of people / everybody in that frame of mind, what can an affiliate do? Because I'll tell you what, affiliate owners and coaches, all of you are going to be a master's athlete at some point. Everybody is going to be, everyone's heading there. We have 25-year-olds in this gym. They're going to be a master's athlete at some point. They might not be a competitor, but I'll tell you what, they're going to be able to follow the sport more and actually connect with some of these master's athletes and relate to them. I'm a 37-year-old. Like, there are some athletes I can't connect with that are 19, 20, 21. And just like, all right, that's awesome. You're a pro athlete. That's really cool. I can't connect. I don't have an emotional attachment to that. But I do think whether you compete or not, you can emotionally attach yourself to master's athletes, but it needs to be facilitated by the affiliate. And this is why, like, we just got done talking about a podcast that was released today, Sam, RX Plus, right? Should do RX Plus workouts, right? Yeah. And, there's good and bad to it, but I don't like the notion, the vibe that you'll get from some people that are so against RX Plus or competing or the sport, or like, hey, you're not a competitor because you don't do Fran. I still remember back, one of the most famous names in CrossFit right now said, you're not a CrossFit competitor unless you do Fran in under 230. Like, that was kind of like almost like a really, like, those kind of statements and looking down on those that want to push themselves physically to the sport can be a detriment to the long term of his sport, right? Because what happens when we all turn 35, 40, 45? Body changes, recovery is worse. Hey, hang them up, guys. Hang them up. Let's not push anymore. And that's fine if you choose to do that.
Yeah.
But for those that want to keep pursuing, the support needs to be there. And that comes from the affiliate. That is an affiliate job. And I'm going to get a little fired up talking about the open, Sam, right?
That's where I was going to go right now.
This is one of the reasons why, if you're a coach or an affiliate owner, you need to push the open.
I was about to say that.
It's going to help your business.
Yeah.
So if you want to be selfish about it, fine. It's going to help your business.
Yeah.
But for Joe, you have to push the open and stop making it, oh, well, I don't like to compete, I'm not going to do the open. If you think the open is only about competing and getting a good score versus a bad score, you are so wrong.
I see a lot of internet feedback where people don't sign up for the open because they don't see a reason for it. They don't feel like, why should CrossFit get our $20? And now that I feel like, for no reason, I could do the workouts without, it doesn't make any difference. Or affiliates that don't make the open a priority, or it's just sort of an afterthought. And now that this sport is being pushed through Legends, and these guys are, if I wanted to support these guys, if I wanted to be positive about master sport, I would have to say the single easiest thing to do as an affiliate is to push more people to register for the open and sign up.
Yep.
I think if you saw that, that would be a clear indication that the CrossFit itself is healthy.
Yep.
That it's not dead like some people have been talking about recently.
It's CrossFit.
And that, right. And that the sport, especially on the master side, is something that has real potential. But it's going to take that kind of grassroots effort.
Collaborative effort. It's up to us, really.
For things to happen.
Yeah, I think the more you push the open, also, I mean, it helps the affiliate because, like, back when, and CrossFit is trying to get these, ESPN and other contracts, right?
Yep.
I remember when they used to replay the games during, like, the winter or spring, I would get, like, 10 to 15 more members.
Yeah.
And people that were, like, 45, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I want to try that. They're not saying they want to go compete against Rich Froning and, those people. They're not saying that. They understand their level, but they're like, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And every month we would get like 10 to 15 more. And so, like, we want to get back to that and back to the old CrossFit days. Cool. Then we need to get back to, pushing the open. The open is important. And
it's huge.
I feel like as an affiliate owner, you like, if you have a multi-prong approach to how you explain the open to people, can be competitive, or people can do it for the affiliate, or people can do it for CrossFit as a whole. They can do it for us CrossFit Masters, our games. And, pushing that. And again, the bigger the community, the more successful all these events are going to be. And CrossFit as a whole, getting to 20 to 30 million people worldwide.
They need an app, and I've said this a million times.
Yeah.
They need a kick-ass app, and I'll just leave it at that.
So we'll almost wrap up here. I want to ask you a couple of questions that I actually saw on your comments section when things were announced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these are both fair, but I want to give you the opportunity to give your response to them. And one of them, I'm going to reverse the order of the outline. Your role / relationship with people that are actually competing in the sport. You have friends that competed. You've coached athletes. That's another thing we need to know about Joe. Joe coached athletes that competed at the games. All right. So again, this is like another like feather in the cap of credibility. Okay. Do you view, and Bob as well, do you guys view your role as changing now because you are now really the face of / in charge of master sport, that you can't have certain conversations, certain people can't know about certain things before others? Like Jason, I cringed a little bit when Jason Grubb said, "Oh, we knew about this for a long time, that we were going to have Legends was going to have the games." It's like, well, I didn't know that. Like, what else does Jason Grubb potentially know that others don't? And that could be someone he knows at CrossFit. It could be a relationship with you guys. Do you have to change your relationship with some people now that you have top secret information that you don't want to give or have this perception that someone may have a competitive advantage? Maybe someone knows when the qualification process will be. Maybe someone knows how many events are at Legends. Someone knows some of the workouts, right? That's always been something Dave Castro has dealt with. Oh, Rich Froning, they know the workouts ahead of time, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What if Joe tells you the workout later after...
He is. We're going to strap him down to the chair.
I was about to say, like, you might be privy to some of that information yourself.
Yeah. I'm not, by the way, just so you know.
So, like, Jason Grubb and other people, they all claim to know things.
Right.
So
we don't know.
If you go back into...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy, so I'm not going to...
No,
I
he has
just did his podcast too, and I told him the same thing. I was like, if you go back in the calendar of when you knew things, those were... You got wind of a conversation.
Yep.
A serious conversation.
Yep.
But there was no, like, set in stone, pen to paper.
Yep.
Like I've said a few times now, people are like, oh, and they need to tell us everything, and we need to know now. And I'm like, look, everyone's trying to run a business here. We want this to be as successful as possible. And there's a lot of professionals that are kind of the best in this realm, all working towards the same goal. So as soon as it's set in stone, we're gonna tell you.
Okay.
It's not something that we would want to sit on as a business, especially going in this whole new direction. I'm like, no, we need everyone to know as soon as possible. So no one really knew anything, until it was set in stone. And then relationships with athletes. Yes, it'll change. It has to. You want to be professional, then that does happen. And I'm pretty I don't like people. So I'm pretty good on my own already.
I found that out. I found that out in San Diego when those nightly meetings you guys have about standards.
Oh my God.
I felt so bad.
That's why Bob had to like do them. I'm like, I'm going to yell at someone, dude. I can't, But even when Mayhem, we did it virtually. And some guy's like, hey, can we bounce the barbell? I was like, when can you ever bounce the barbell?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, no, so it'll be, relationships with athletes will change. I don't coach any more games athletes, so that's not a problem. But yeah, it'll change, but you can still be friendly, but there has to be a professional level of secrecy and, respect with whoever you're working with and what people should know to keep everything fair. I can tell you I'm extremely fair, almost to a fault.
I agree.
So it's almost if you do know me, then you're gonna know last.
Yeah.
So you're gonna find out through someone else.
Yep.
But
there's an art. Yeah, definitely an art to that. What about Legends programming? Something that you just launched with a couple of others, I believe. I don't think it's just you. Am I right about that?
Yeah, there's two other coaches.
Okay.
So yeah, Legends programming is something that has been an idea for. I've been working with SugarWOD to get it launched for like 7-8 months.
Okay.
And just through timing of work and this and getting certain stuff done and how it's going to look and talking to DJ and Jeremy to be on the team and how we want to approach it. It just, this was before the Castro involvement, and it was built so that I could teach them how to program to get people to peak at the Legends Championship.
Got it.
And it's more specifically that it's something that we don't expect to be huge. We don't expect to be a mayhem or a proven. We don't expect to do that. But for people that want to get prepped for the competition, you know, I was like, cool, I'm going to take this time to teach you guys how to program people for a competition, because they're excellent coaches. They have both over 10 years experience programming and coaching. But when they send me stuff, I'm like, hey, look, you're going to build them up. Right. You know, for instance, there was a kettlebell workout that Jeremy programmed. I believe it was supposed to be for today. And we haven't done any like dual kettlebell stuff. So I was like, hey, why don't you make an interval workout to give them some experience with the dual kettlebells so that next week they get more out of that workout.
Got it.
You know, you kind of preps them like, you know, unknown on bolo, or be prepared for anything. But in training, I mean, be prepared for anything is a thing, but in training, you can help people get better faster if you program efficiently. So Legends programming is something that, you know, I have a heavy hand in right now, but they are slowly taking over.
I was about to say, there's no conflict of interest because, you know, you might be like, there might be dual kettlebells next year in the game. So just, Jeremy, throw a couple of those in for the next couple months, just so, you know, people are kind of a little, you know, because they do that with the game side, main side programming. Sometimes they throw some stuff in there. So you don't feel like, because then the athletes might be like, you know what, I got to just take a look at the Legends Masters programming, because I don't know, there might be some stuff in there that I might have to sort of look at to be prepped.
And so that's why, like, during this time, it's me kind of guiding them, helping them get better, refining what they're doing, and eventually I'm going to have to step back away from it.
Okay.
Right.
Because I want a very clear look that is, you know, that it was to build a business so that these guys can show how good they are.
Awesome.
And to help them, because they are excellent at what they do, and they have a tremendous amount of commitment. And much like people have helped me get to where I am, I was like, cool, let's do this. And it was actually my idea. I sought them out, and they jumped all over it. I was like, cool, let's do this. And now it's like they're chomping on the bit all the time. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's and I think it'd be nice for people that, especially the Legends Championship though, for December. They have a track that's dedicated to help them peak in December. They'll never have any say in any programming that you see at a championship or at the games. But you know, they will be helping people do their best, you know. And I think that when you do that, people that are well prepared, they have more fun. They get hurt less. And as long as I don't have any involvement, then you know, there won't be a conflict.
Yeah, definitely no conflict. Proven was a sponsor of the games last year, if I remember correctly. And again, at no point, I know some people always have something negative to say about everything. And they say, oh, well, those athletes are going to have an inside track at programming. And I think you have to trust Joe at this point. He's not going to look at Legends programming, which still isn't fully programmed yet, according to him. He's not going to specifically only prepare on a micro level Masters athletes that are on Legends programming more than anyone else. But the macro level of peaking at the right time, introducing certain movements slowly, that's what is needed. I think that's the advantage of going in to a program like that. So I hope nobody actually thinks that someone that's on Legends programming has an unfair competitive advantage at this year's championships. I have one question left, Sam. If you have one left too, then we could wrap this up because we got to go warm up for our workout.
No, I'm good. I would love to pick Joe's brain more about programming, but that will have to wait for the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, what is your primary goal for your first crack at running the games for Masters with the future in mind? Like, what do you really want to get down pat in year one so that as you prepare for year two, you could probably even make the argument year two is going to be more important than year one. You kind of get like that grace period. Hey, let's see what you guys got and what can you improve? Because there will be mistakes made. There are every year, right? Things that you try to improve. What is like the number one primary goal that you're going to try to have for the 2024 CrossFit Games Masters?
Athlete experience from check-in all the way to exit being just a very well-run show, like it is at Legends every year. Yep. But I want it to be even more. I want it to flow really well. I want experiences happening in between heats off to the side because athlete experience also goes into like, is your family having fun? So I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to do something fun and be a part of something And that could be if Vendor Village is providing these fun engagement, these funds and types of things. And, for next year, I'm looking into like, hey, a lot of kids are going to come to this Masters game. So let's rent a little arcade to set up in a room for kids. So It's like highlighting all those experience outside the competition floor, I think is something that is going to help us immensely. Everything on the competition floor, we've proven that we do really well at. Like you said, our programming is normally top notch,
awesome.
And it will continue to get better. But it's taking advantage or maximizing everything off the competition floor, and that's from athlete check-in, like how the games does the athlete experience and check-in. That's a big deal. That is super cool. So it's all of that stuff, and then having the media team to showcase that, to show it to the world, is what again is going to help this grow and be more popular.
So I assume that the goal of finding the fittest Masters athlete in each division is a given, and you're talking about what comes after that.
Right. Yeah, we're always going to push that. That's always,
because I assume that's what the programming and what we've talked about is you will make sure you find the fittest Masters athlete for each division.
And we push them hard. Like we've got a lot of feedback that these are the toughest workouts combination, but 4 days, it's a lot. And again, it's maybe the workouts aren't necessarily crazy hard, but you provide it in a way where people can push themselves so hard. And
Confirmed.
it's like, it's like, and just the way it's set up. We'll always do that. And it's more than just, it's an intelligence test as well. It's, the baiting. It's not just the programming is for, fitness. It's like, or do you have experience? And you can't just walk into Legends, which is why like in a couple of weeks, we're going to be releasing some videos of guys that have been to Legends multiple times and what advice they give to all these new Legends. Because a 4-day comp is no joke.
No.
And the last thing we want is people bowing out and, having to withdraw. That's why if you look at workouts like day by day, it doesn't seem that bad. Like, oh, Friday's not bad.
Yep.
Saturday's not bad. But it's like, damn, 4 days in a row, it's like, it catches up with you. So, next year, maximizing everything off the competition floor, finding the fittest person, obviously is always the goal. And I want to make sure that it's also a fight, to program so that maybe people in a couple workouts, maybe they're not super efficient, but if you work hard enough, you can still be in the top 3, top 5, programming like that as well, rather than, giving these highly experienced people I don't want to say the advantage, but programming in a way that it's always the same people on the top. I think if you program in a way that you can kind of give an underdog a chance, you'll see more of those stories, which again is another one of my biggest things about next year is that now we have a bigger field. The top 10 has to be earned. And I think that's going to be another a feather in people's cap.
Yeah.
Is to say you were the top 10
at
a live competition, not virtual.
Absolutely.
That's confirmed.
That'll
That
be
too.
huge.
Hey, Joe, thanks so much for coming out. Really do appreciate it. Words don't really have enough weight to show my gratitude towards, but we'll just keep supporting you guys through our actions here at Bison. You have my word on that. And to all masters out there, I want you to, any true leader, they do what they say they want you to do. They don't just bark orders. Joe flying across the country here and coming here and showing Bison gratitude, but also support on his end. That's what we need you guys to do to make sure this thing actually is successful and continues to operate for the next decade plus. We need you to put your money where your mouth is. We need you to show up. We need you to watch. We need you to listen. We need you to engage in social media with anything and everything around the sport, whether you compete or not, whether you even know people that compete or not. There's a lot of people out there that need your support. And for this to work, you guys have to do your part. And I hope everyone can take that on as a responsibility. You are going to be a Masters athlete at some point as well. And you're going to want and need this support at some point as well. So I hope you guys can take that as a serious responsibility. Joe, would you like to throw any bones in terms of to an athlete? anything you want to break? Will there be a repeat workout this year? Will there be anything new? Or are you just going to say, hey, shut up and we'll see you in December?
Well, I told Grubb there'll be a repeat workout, and he got excited. But I didn't say.
Can you tell what year?
I didn't say what year, and if it was even our workout. So,
something that has been done before at some point.
Before at a high level will be repeated.
All right, so we'll go look at those 800 workouts and hopefully pick the right one. All right, thanks, Joe, so much, and let's go work out.
All right,
let's do it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.